Commitment as a father, commitment as a husband. We keep talking about that, but what is commitment? What's the definition of commitment?
So looking at Brother Google says commitment, the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc., or an engagement or obligation that restricts freedom of action. So essentially, you're something that you're a commitment, or that has nothing to do with it, Brian.
Pretty much, he was saying appointments.
Yeah, appointments. Sorry, scratch
But
that.
the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc. So, we stopped and we wanted to talk about, quickly, what it looks like as a father, as a husband.
Yeah.
And our natural tendency is, man, because we beat ourselves up. Oh, we're not committed enough. But I want Brian, I want you to hit on the things that we talked about. I mean, just real quick, like commitment as a father, meaning this and this and this. What does that mean to you? What is commitment as a, I mean, how long have you been married? And this is your first marriage.
So first and only, thank the Lord, 20 years, Danny. I don't even feel like I'm old enough to be married 20 years.
We're just getting old.
My word. Been married 20 years to the love of my life, same woman, your sister. Been a father for almost 18 years, which is also, I don't think I'm old enough to have an 18-year-old. But what does that look like? It's really, not checking out, because it's so easy to want to do that. For any father or mother out there, especially us men, us fathers, we like our quiet time, our us time, me time. I'm no exception to that. I want to play video games. I want to listen to music. I want to play music. I want to go hang out with you. But it's on purpose making time for my wife, making time for my children, to do things that they enjoy that might drive me nuts. Like, I love to play board games, but sometimes I hate to play it with them, just because they're just crazy. They're just crazy.
And I mean, I feel like my boys are gonna be smarter than me and getting close to.
They're smart.
And your girls are very smart.
Oh,
that's
man.
why I don't like playing games with them. Because I'm like, no, get someone on my level, way above my level.
And I feel like I'm fairly smart. I feel like because I love strategy, right? I love strategy and planning and all those RPG games and then when they beat me, I don't want to play anymore. Just throw the.
Yeah, because you've already looked up all the strats and everything to do it the right way, and they played the first time and beat you, and you're like, what's the point?
No, get out of my house. So that's me. Also, as far as commitment goes, I've been a music director at my church for about, oh Lordy have mercy, longer than I've been married. So I've been about 22 years.
Through the good, through the bad, through the days you wake up and go, why am I doing this?
Oh my goodness. And there's plenty of those days. Pastor will even say the same thing, that there's days he doesn't want to come to church, but commitment says, I got to do it on purpose every time, day in, day out.
And the beautiful thing about that too is this progression I see of all the years that you put into this thing. Mm-hmm. Now we're finally seeing that generation that is starting to come up behind us. It hasn't really happened to me yet.
Yeah.
On the drums. Edward, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Nick. My boys, all of them can play, but it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
On your side of things.
It's something that I've prayed about for years, because at some point I won't be able to do this. You and I won't be able to play anymore. And we've been playing together for 18 years? About that amount?
Yeah.
Time? And the day will come where we won't be able to anymore. And being committed, I feel like, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm taking your time to talk about your commitments. But when it comes to commitment, I could have gave up years ago before you and I ever started playing, if I wasn't committed to the church and to one day seeing something better. Because, people come and go in the church. We're everyday Christians. And if you're listening, you're probably an everyday Christian as well. We're all people. Wherever we go, whether we're in church or out of church, people are still people. And the hardest thing is that when you have people that a lot of times commitment doesn't exist.
I want to inject something right here really fast.
Yeah.
We're talking about commitment and how committed we are.
Mm-hmm.
The goal of this talk is not to be, look how committed Brian is and us talk about ourselves, right?
Yeah. Fair.
So we're doing this as an aspect of Christian men. We're everyday fathers.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying our best as Christians to lead our families.
Mm-hmm.
And what commitment looks like in that realm. That's where we're going with.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that, because even though, so playing for this long and being committed, you and I have been committed to this, your wife, my wife, and many in the praise team at our church, we've grown, like you said, to a point where I feel like our music is pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it perfect? No, but it's, my goodness, it's so far from just coming from a songbook.
Challenge anybody in the state of Idaho.
Let's go. So,
Kidding, it's not about that.
No, I'd say it's not about that, but it's good to be proud of what we do, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like because of the commitment and the time we've put in, people want to be a part of something good. If you have a whole lot of, let's just say, anyone ever gone to like a elementary music recital? Shout out to every musician out there, young musician, keep going, okay?
Keep going.
But it's not always the best sounding, right? It's not always together because it's a lot of learning where they're just coming up in this.
Yeah.
But when you have that, you can give up pretty easy. And I think this is where I was going with it, is that when you have a commitment to, I want this to be good someday, it's not going to be good day one. So you keep going. You say, I'm going to put the practice in. I'm going to put the practice in now as much as I can, so that one day when I have a Danny that comes along that can play the drums, we're going to sound pretty good. And the one day when I have a Jesse that comes along that can play the bass, and I have a Gio, and I have a Neva, and this is our band's name, by the way, names, we start to sound pretty good.
Yeah. And they, that younger generation getting us older, crustier guys out of our realm of, loops and everything that we've done. I could just look at Brian can look at me, we know where to go. And now all of a sudden we have a loop telling us where to go, and I'm like, no, I don't want to change. I've been doing this too long, and I want to change. But now that we have changed, and it was kind of like this forced progression at first, and this younger generation's trying to bring in this newfangled technology, and where I just wasn't about it, and now I'm totally about it. I'm like, where's my loop? Where's my loop? Where's my guide? I need my guide.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to see the progression of us.
Yeah.
I mean, and of our church. You're a smaller church, and you don't have, I think I've said this before, if you don't have that technology yet, keep pushing, keep working.
Yeah.
Brian's a perfect example of that. And being an advocate for your people. That's something that Brian has always done as well.
I appreciate that. I'll always believe in my team even more than they'll believe in themselves, because I was there at one point where I wasn't very good, and our pastor will even say, when I first got up there, he'd kind of cringe a little bit just because I didn't know. I knew how to play Beethoven and Mozart because that's how I learned, and then he gave me a couple of days I want you to start playing in church. I don't think Beethoven's going to really bring the Spirit of God down necessarily. So, but commitment made me continue because I wanted to be better. And not only did I want to be better, I said at one point, because when I first started in music, which was 24 years ago, I said, there's got to be something more to life, something more to church than just opening up a songbook and a song leader 10, 15 minutes before church started would just pick 4 songs. There would be no practice. We would just kind of just go. And it was good. For the time, it was fine. We still had good church. We had moves of God. And I couldn't complain about that. But I thought, I've seen the big churches. I know there's something more to life than this. And I could have gave up because not everybody else was committed at that time to learning how to play the drums better, learning how to play. Well, we had a good bassist. He was willing to try, but not everybody else was.
Yeah, he worked really hard.
Yeah, really, really hard, 100 times harder than I ever did. And I could have gave up. And then when time went on, I lost a drummer. Another one came in who wasn't as good as the first one. I could have gave up because it's like, well, we took a step or two back. I'd get some backup singers, some praise singers, and one would leave. And I have a big hole, and it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
I can't trust anybody. I can't rely on anybody anymore. But my commitment said, I'm committed to the church. I'm committed to the church's music and to whoever comes in to hear the music, to feel God and to help the service move in the way it needs to go. So I'm going to keep practicing, and I'm going to keep coming, and I'm going to keep fighting. And one day, Lord willing, somebody else is going to come in. And lo and behold, somebody came along and they filled that spot, and we got better. But had I given up, who knows where the church or the music department would be today?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that goes along with family. What if I didn't commit to my wife? Where would we be? Where would my girls be? I got three daughters, in case you don't know. And where would they be if I didn't commit to spending time with them and talking to them about God, talking to them about why do we do the things at church that we do? Why do we go the places we go, and why do we abstain from other places? If I didn't commit to those things and to my girls and to imparting those wisdoms and those whys, my girls are curious.
Yeah.
If I didn't answer those questions, they wouldn't be thriving in church today.
I think you said it beautifully when you talked about imparting into them why we don't do this, why we don't go to these certain places. Mm-hmm. And my wife has been my biggest asset.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest asset.
She's a good lady.
For me to grow up as a man and to grow up to be a man.
Uh-huh.
Because I had the mentality like a lot of, it doesn't matter if you're Christian, if you don't believe, if you're not a believer. I've seen it out in the world so much. It's like, I work, I have this, I deserve this. I'm going to come home. I'm going to sit there and do nothing. And the craziest part about it is a lot of these households are two working households. So like the father and the mother, wife, both spouses are working, and they still, being a man at home is making sure the man stuff is taken care of. The garage, if she loves to do lawn care, God bless her heart.
Mm-hmm.
But the garage, the lawn care, all of that stuff, you should probably take care of it. Now, I'm blessed because I've got 4 boys. I'm not going to do anything for a long time now,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jesus. But
and they're good boys.
They're hardworking boys,
yeah.
And they'll do it in a drop of a hat. They can't wait to do it. And my oldest has been with me through my business since he was 11. So he was working side by side with me, doing hard manual labor that most men can't do when he was 11 years old. And so he's not only strong and fit, but he's a very good worker.
Now, that was a commitment on your part, because it's so much easier as parents, as fathers, to just do something for your kids rather than letting them do it themselves, because it takes longer for you to harp on them, to harp on your boy, to be like, I need you to go get this done. I need you to go and move that thing.
There was a lot of that too.
I know. But you're a parent. I know there was. It takes so much more work and commitment to get them to do what they need to do rather than you just going and doing it yourself, which would take you a minute or less.
Yeah.
So I know that's a commitment to get him to impart, him being a hard worker.
Yeah. And I you beat yourself up as a father.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you want the best for your kids, and some things I did in my oldest I won't do in the others, and vice versa, right? But I think it's important to realize that there's a country song, and I don't know who sings it, but I always sing it when I feel that stubbornness coming up, like, well, I deserve this. I deserve to sit down and do nothing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do.
Yeah.
You work your butt off and you pay the bills, and God has blessed me with the ability enough to have my wife at home raising my kids, and not a daycare raising my kids.
Same here.
Homeschooling is big with us too. But God has blessed me with that ability. Now I could totally just be like, I'm not doing nothing,
Yeah.
I don't have to, because my wife has understood her role. And when I come in, yes, there are some things that my wife's going to be like, hey, will you fix this screw in the wall?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just coinciding together.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of
Partnership.
of a partnership.
Yep.
Exactly. So when you hear that marriage is 50-50, no, it's 100% and 100%.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We've got to work and coincide together. And I don't have to say anything. She's got dinner going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to say anything. She already folded all the clothes for today. Like, I don't have to worry about that stuff, because she understands, and we work in one body. And and when you get married in the unity of Jesus, it's you become one flesh.
Now, how long have you all been married, and how long have you been a dad?
Oh Lordy.
Yeah.
I got married in 2008. So in March of 2008, that was 18,
Sure.
17,
16.
16.
Almost 17.
So it'll be 17 here
In
this March.
Wow.
And we got married in March, and then 9 months later, we had our oldest.
Yeah.
So we grew up right off the bat.
Fast.
I was 19 when we got married. She was 18. And then that year when we had Darius, we were both 19.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I just said his name.
No.
It was the most beautiful thing, like being a father. I wouldn't give it to the world, but man, I wish I could have figured life out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure life out and have my baby there as well.
Well, I was married at 23, and I still feel like, man, I barely know how to make my way to the grocery store to figure my own stuff out. So I get it.
Yeah. So, having 4 boys now, it's the biggest blessing that I could have here on earth, besides my beautiful wife. But, I'm telling you, commitment needs to be back in America. It needs to be back in our homes as Christians, as Christian men. It's, the Bible talks about girding up your loins.
Yeah.
And your commitment is telling everybody else around you who you are and what kind of person you are. And if you're not committed, if you are, after a hard day's work, you're not coming home and saying hi to your wife and greeting your wife, you're just coming home, kicking them off, grabbing, your iPad and playing, a mobile game.
Yeah.
And you're not committed to that woman in your home, you need to, I'm not your pastor.
You're right.
But you need to, figure out your life.
Yeah.
You need to turn some things around.
That's important, because you'll build your reputation that way, and you'll build feelings in everybody else, and then you get marked. Everybody knows who you are, and you'd rather them say that they can trust you. You'd rather them say about you that, he loves his family, he loves his wife. Does that mean we're going to be perfect, Danny? No.
I was just about to say that too. I said that sternly because I do believe it.
Yeah.
I want to shake some dudes. Like, I just want to,
yeah.
like Homer Simpson and Bart Simpson, I just want to choke them out.
Yeah, for real.
But my wife is probably going to listen to this and be like, exactly. You listening to yourself?
Because you're not perfect, right?
Yeah. So for me, play games with your family.
Yeah.
Spend time at the dinner table. We always eat dinner together. We will never eat dinner separated. Obviously, we don't sit around a TV and watch TV.
Yeah.
But we try to be engaging. Like, how's your day?
Yeah.
My wife's a big,
It's important.
A big asset in that.
It's very important.
I want to eat food. I'm like the aggressive dog. I'm just eating food. Don't talk to me. Don't leave me alone. Like, yeah, exactly.
Well, and I'll tell you that my wife is the same. She did help me grow up as well. I was a very wishy-washy individual when I first started, and I think that if it had not been to her, I'm just giving her a quick shout out, had it not been for her being who she was and helping to mold me into the committed father, parent, leader that I am, I don't know that I would even have a music department today.
Yeah.
Because I had that same mentality that, I want to come home and do nothing. And I want to not go and commit again today.
And real quick too,
yeah,
if you're in a church and you see like if my wife didn't, I wouldn't even be half the man I am today without her, having to kick me in the butt.
Yeah.
Now people say too, and they're usually people that aren't married or don't have any say in this, but look who wears the pants in that family.
Right.
When literally I just said it again. I just said it again. All right, that's it. Mugs that say literally on them.
It's on.
But they see from the outside, but they have no idea what the inside looked like.
Mm-hmm.
5 years down the road, or 5 years before that, 10 years before that. They don't know what that wife has had to stand up against, because we as men, we can plant our feet pretty firm and say, we're not moving. Or, different situations that happen that can just crush a woman's mentality and a woman's trust and all of that.
Oh yeah, and if you know me pretty well, if there's any Chicanos out there, any Latinos, we can be really stubborn. And not only can we be really stubborn, we can be really stubborn and then hold a grudge on top of that. So it would have been really easy, and there's times I've done it because I'm not perfect either, of my wife kicking me in the rear saying, get moving, we have to go to church. You need to practice. You have to schedule people. You got to schedule the music. And me being like, would you just stop? I don't have to do anything you tell me, because that's how I can be. And then I can start holding a grudge, being like, you just want to tell me what to do all the time, and that ain't going to happen. I have to back off. I have to say, she's trying to help me. She's my partner.
If you're in, I want to say this as well. If she's watching this, we're saying this because if your wife isn't doing that to you, that's a red flag.
Yeah. And
that means the disconnect has happened or is happening.
Talk that out. Yeah. If that's the case, talk that out. Communication is huge.
Something needs to change. And us as men, we don't want to communicate. After a hard day's work, I don't want to sit there and talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just being honest. So you have to force yourself. You really have to force yourself.
Now, if you're anything like me, somehow the roles got a little bit reversed. I like to talk when I get home. My wife is just like, dude, like, I guess I'll listen. She's just not quite like that. But that's okay. It's okay to meet a happy medium. I've had to learn over the last 20 years, and my wife, if she listens to this, be like, you still haven't learned that. But I'm still, I've learned over the last 20 years, you got to just compromise. And that's okay. You when you're committed to each other, to that partnership, you're also committed to compromising. It's okay to give and take a little.
And remember, that same commitment, fam, is the same commitment whether you have a pistol at your side. You have to be committed to the decisions that you're going to make with that thing. You've got to be committed to Jesus. You got to be committed to prayer every day. And if you're not, we got the solution. There is a solution, and Jesus does want to he wants to touch your life just like he's touched mine and Brian's, and we want to shout out all the men out there that are trying their hardest and you are wondering where to go.
The answer is Jesus. But if you do need some extra help in how do I find him, what's that next step take? Send us a message. Send us something in the comments. We'll be happy to help. Sit down with you, answer questions, whatever you might need.
Yeah, get a hold of us. Remember, please like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Hopefully we can get some nuggets and you can take some things in that we have to say.
Yeah. We love you, fam.
God bless.